Welcome to the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset, and marketing so your nutrition business can thrive and you can make a bigger impact in the marketplace. I am your host, Dyan, registered dietitian and money mindset expert. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. Before we get started with today's episode, I just want to let you know that this is the episode that so many of you have been waiting on. If you follow me on Instagram and if you are a part of my Facebook group, you have likely seen the post where I shared that I interviewed a 7-figure earning dietitian, and I am officially done with RDs making excuses. And I really mean that to the core of my being. There is no excuse after listening to this episode that you can't do what she did too. That you can't make money as a dietitian, that you can't make good money as a dietitian. You should have no excuses after listening to today's episode. And I want to give you a heads up. I literally just a few moments ago got off of another guest interview with another 7-figure earning RD. And she is in private practice. She does not teach other dietitians how to be in private practice. She also employs dietitians in her private practice. So without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to what Diana has to say about being a 7-figure earner.
Here we are. All right, here we are with another guest on the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast. And I just want to start by saying, I hope you guys are really enjoying these guest interviews. We've had some really amazing guests so far, and today you're going to get a taste of another amazing dietitian who's doing really fantastic things. My intention for these guest interviews is to allow you all to see what is possible for yourself. And I really want you to know that the women, and maybe we'll even have some men step forward, the women who have stepped forward so far are not unique unicorns. They are humans just like us. And if they can do it, you can do it too. So let's welcome Diana Sugiuchi. She is amazing. And I'm going to just let her get started in telling you who she is, where she's located, and what she's all about. Welcome, Diana.
Awesome. Thank you, Christine. So I'm Diana Sugiuchi. I'm the owner and founder of Nourish Family Nutrition, and we are a multi-dietitian, actually multi-specialty, because we also have a psychotherapist practice based in Maryland and Georgia.
Oh, nice. And so tell us a little bit, Diana, about your practice in particular. What kind of specialties do you serve? Do you serve any specialties? Are you generalists? Let's learn a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so that is a great question. And the short answer is, as a practice, we are generalists because we have specialists in all different areas of nutrition. So, so as a practice, we take everything from, adolescents, GI disorders, eating disorders, diabetes, healthy eating, everything. So a little bit of both.
That's awesome. I like that. I like that you can be of service to many different demographics. And I would assume that that's what has helped your practice grow and become so successful. Before we even talk about how successful you have become, because you have, I'd like to just learn a little bit more about you, Diana. Like, what was the young Diana like in as an RD? Like, when you graduated, you completed your internship, passed the exam. What was like some of that early career as an RD like for you?
Well, the young Diana was not a dietitian.
Okay.
That's a very long story, a whole nother story. But I went back to school when my eldest daughter was a baby and became a dietitian. Graduated in 2006 and then became a dietitian in 2007. So it was kind of a career change for me. And,
Mm-hmm.
Early career, I think I followed the same path as a lot of dietitians, clinical right out of school. I immediately got my CNSD, as it was called then, now a CNSC. And then I took a job, I'd say within a year, and I worked at a long-term care facility because it was closer to my home and I made more money, which was a good thing. And that
Yeah.
also afforded me the time and the opportunity to, start my private practice while I was still working, because it became apparent to me pretty early on that, that was kind of the path that I wanted to follow.
Okay. And if any of my listeners are like me, they're probably curious to know like what you were doing before you became a dietitian. Now I'm really being nosy and digging. I would love to
Yeah,
know.
I was actually in a few rock bands.
Oh my God. See, my intuition is so sharp. Something was like, you need to ask her, like, what was she doing beforehand? Okay, so Diana Sugiuchi, y'all, was in a rock band, a few of them, before she even became a dietitian. So former rock band. What were you doing in the rock band, Diana? Oh my goodness.
A bunch
That's
of
awesome.
things. My main band was actually, it was an all-girl band, so
Mm-hmm.
all women. Um,
Yeah.
and I played guitar and I sang, and that's actually
Oh,
how I met my husband. He was also in a band, so.
oh my goodness. So awesome. It's so nice to hear like um the full spectrum, like the whole story. That's even more inspiring, right? And you're not the first dietitian that I've had on the podcast that has talked about this career being her second career. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you are not the first, and I think that's amazing. Wow. So that means that you're very creative. You're like a creative minded person and an analytically minded. You're like an anomaly. What? That's so awesome. Like you've got both sides of the brain working at the same time. I think that's amazing. So good. And so, when did you really decide that you wanted to create a private practice?
Yeah, so I don't think it's, something that I was always like, yes, I'm going to be in private practice for myself. I know back then it just seems like maybe just because there wasn't as much social media, but there wasn't as many private practices or as much kind of information out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just knew that I was not a great employee. I did not like, when my work was done, I kind of wanted to just go do my thing, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't generally like that at jobs. So,
Yeah. You telling me. I know
yeah.
all about
So, I
that.
mean, honestly, it was just kind of to reclaim my time. I just decided that I would just kind of grow it, organically, slowly, which it did. And, when I first started, it was just me, and I would see people on the weekends and in evenings, and I would actually go to people's houses and meet them there to do nutrition counseling. I didn't take insurance. It was all out of pocket. And, that definitely had challenges, aside from the transportation issue. But I then started renting an office by the hour and then just kind of grew from there. And, something that I think helped my practice grow is not, I know that kind of the common knowledge now is to niche down and really specialize in something right away. And I actually don't agree with that. I think
Yeah.
that if you're trying to grow a sustainable practice, it's
Mm-hmm.
easier a lot of times to, kind of be a little bit of a generalist. And also, to be perfectly honest, I used to think that I really loved working with kids and families, and I discovered pretty quickly that actually that wasn't where my heart really was
Mm-hmm.
sending me. So, that's just something that I think can be helpful, is to stay a little bit general. So yeah, so then it just kind of grew. And I gradually, took a consulting job for 20 hours a week and then cut that down as the private practice grew. But one thing I will say, one of my friends who, just gives great advice to me throughout the years, I was kind of worrying about, I don't know if I should cut down my hours because I don't really have enough in the private practice to fill up those hours. What should I do?
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of counseled me to, look at where I wanted to go and where I wanted to invest my energy. And she said, sometimes when you make way for new things to come in, it just kind of happens. And I took a leap and I cut the hours back, and sure enough, things just kind of filled in. And I have found that to be true, as we've grown as a company and I've hired new people, and, their hours just kind of fill up if you make them available. So
yeah. Nature abhors a vacuum.
exactly. But taking that leap is so hard when you don't know what's on the other side.
It is so scary and necessary. I believe that it is so important for all of us as humans to recognize, no matter what spiritual beliefs you have or background, and this isn't about religion either, because I believe religion is really more so relationship. So whatever your background is, once you begin to acknowledge the fact that you're not here to do it all by yourself, that you are not the one who's creating all of the things, that you are a co-creator in it, and then you align with that, everything just seems to work out a lot easier. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy all of the time, but trusting the whole process is almost kind of double-edged thing, right? I don't want to say sword because I don't want people to think it's like this thing where it's going to cut you if you mess up. But it really is, it's challenging, like you say. It's like, oh my God, if I do this, what's going to happen? But if you shift your mindset into, if I do this, what's possible? What is possible if I let this go? What's possible if I open up some space for something else? Mm-hmm. What is possible instead of what's going to happen, right? Because a lot of times we think sometimes, I won't say a lot of times, but we unknowingly play victim to our circumstances, and we're never victim to our circumstance. We are never victim to our circumstance, because once again, you're a co-creator in the circumstance. So that means that you have your own personal responsibility, and then you trust the process of the other, whatever, right? And so you're never a victim. I would love to hear more about what has helped you to build what you've built. And I would really love for you to outline what you have built so far, and how did you develop the business acumen to create something that's so wonderful?
Yeah, so let's start with the business side. I did not have specific business training. Definitely, obviously, coming from more of a creative background, the only business course that I had was the one that was required in my dietetics degree. I'm sorry to say I did not pay particular attention in it, because I'm like, I'm not going to need this. And, here we are. So I would say a lot of it is, things that you pick up. I read a lot. I don't have an MBA. So it's just, again, reading a lot of things and just experience, to be honest, because like anyone else who runs a successful business, there have been mistakes that we've learned from. So, that in and of itself is helpful. But what, going back to what we've built. So, again, it started out with just me. And then I had an amazing intern. Actually, one of the first interns I took on, Melanie, and she took a chance on me and my company and started working part-time in the evenings and weekends when she was working full-time, and really, really helped me to kind of build the business, and then just went on to hire, more people as, we became busier, and then it just kind of grew from there. And it's really, again, nothing that I was intending on. It wasn't like I set out, when I was planning my private practice to, hire other people. Quite the contrary. I never in a million years would have thought that, this was something I would want to do, having other people on my team. According to my family, I'm a little bit of a control freak. I hope that my employees don't think the same way, and I don't think I am at work. But it's been, aside from the obvious benefits of just building a bigger team and being able to serve more people, just the energy and the creativity and the amount of knowledge, that my team has just knocks me over every single day. We have an absolutely fantastic team, and it's been great for our clients. Personally, it's been a journey that, I never would have seen coming. And, one of the things that I love is doing private practice. I think is the best way to be a dietitian. Really developing those relationships with clients and, having a little bit more of a laid back schedule than, working clinical, hopefully. And, I love that I am able to provide really awesome jobs for other women and, have great benefits and all that goes with that.
Now, how many dietitians do you employ currently?
Yeah, so we have 9 dietitians right now, soon to be 10, and most are full-time with benefits, and then we have a couple of part-time people as well.
That's awesome. And then, because I'm asking even for myself, hello, like, I would love to know, like, how you figure out how to hire someone, and like, how did you figure out like the whole piece of payroll and adding benefits and all of that? Where did you learn all of that, Diana?
Trial and error, honestly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
as far as the hiring piece, the best way to, I have found to, hire dietitians is, recommendations from other dietitians, just because then it's kind of a known quantity. But I would say we get an equal amount from, ads on Indeed and interviewing. So for me, and, it's less important for me if someone has private practice or outpatient experiencing with counseling people. That's something that anyone can learn. What is the most important for me is, are they going to be able to think quickly on their feet? Because, every day is kind of a new day here. They need to be flexible. They need to be able to keep up with things, and they really need to be very self-motivated, because, private practice is an odd combination of working on your own most of the time, but then also working as part of a bigger team, since we are, a fairly big team now,
Large.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really great. I love it.
Yeah. So honestly, experience, obviously we want someone that has experience, working as a dietitian, and certainly for our eating disorders division, they need to have some eating disorders experience. But really the thing that I look for the most is, are they going to be a fit with our team? Does their philosophy towards how they work with clients kind of line up with our philosophy at our practice?
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed that holds a lot of our colleagues back from moving forward with anything in their practice, or maybe even with getting started, is feeling like they have to have it all worked out before they even take a first step. So that's one of the reasons why I'm asking you these questions about how did you do this and how did you do that, to let people see, like, there is no how sometimes. How is sometimes just taking the first step and figuring it out, making it messy, and learning along the way. Like, we're not going to always have all of the pieces together. We learn as we go. And I think oftentimes that's one of the best ways to learn, when you're kind of like just cultivating a thing from scratch. You get to create it in the way that is best for you, instead of having some cookie cutter template and someone says you should do it this way and that way and all of that. But why not just consider that you can create what you want in your own way? So it sounds like that's what you did for your practice, and it's grown exponentially because of that.
It has. And it's funny you say that, because I remember when I was first starting, I was so like fixated on like, all right, I have to have like, my website up and going, and I have to have all these assessment forms, and I'm going to have all these packages, and this is what people want. And so I started that way, and quickly found that, the packages were great, but what people really wanted was more flexibility with kind of doing one-off appointments. And so I switched, and all those like crazy assessment forms and handouts and everything I had, it didn't matter. That wasn't what people wanted. And I think, as dietitians, we tend to be very kind of type A and, wanting to make sure we have all our ducks in a row before we do anything. And I see, a lot of times that really holds people back, that, perfection standing in the way. Like, just go out and do it. You can switch things up later. Nobody is paying that close attention to all the little details of your business as you are. And I think that flexibility is really one of the biggest strengths that I think people need to have in order to be in private practice,
Right.
and just kind of rolling with things. And, as far as things, trial and error, oh my goodness, just as a practice, we have tried so many different things throughout the years, like, oh, we're going to do this kind of program or offer this. And it hasn't, it's kind of fizzled, and that's all right. You just try something else, but you're never going to know if you don't just kind of throw it out there.
Yeah, no doubt. And I can't say it enough. It's really important that we let go of this idea of perfection. I think we know in theory that there is no such thing, but yet and still we continue to strive towards it. It's really the hugest cognitive dissonance that I see us struggle with. We know, like in theory, there is no such thing as perfection. But then we are on the other side of the fence trying to make all the things perfect. It's like, okay, something's wrong here. Something is absolutely crazy. And once we get to the point where we really embrace that theory that there is no such thing, that's when things really start to unfold, like you were saying. I love that you have just built things as you go. Like, that just makes it even more perfect, I believe. And another thing that I want to highlight is that you are somewhat of a generalist. Now, going back to that, do you take insurance, or are you all self-pay?
Nope. So that was, there's a few things throughout the history of Nourish that I can really pinpoint as being turning points for our practice. And one of them was back in 2010, 2011. I was actually meeting with an acupuncturist in town just to kind of, talk about referrals. And she took insurance. And I said, I've never taken insurance because I've heard it's really hard to work with. And she's like, no, it brings in clients and it's really good. And I started taking one insurance company in Maryland. And that's when things really kind of took off. And then we expanded to taking other insurance. And there's a perception out there that insurance is not, lucrative, but I found it to be quite the opposite. And I think if you want to build, a really sustainable, strong practice and employ other dietitians, you should really strongly consider it. And something else that I found early on was when I was calling different physicians' offices, introducing myself, looking for referrals, one of the first things that they asked me was, do you take insurance? And when I said no, the conversation was over. And as soon as, and it didn't matter which insurance we took, we only took one insurance at that time. But when I would tell the physicians, oh yeah, we take insurance, they started referring, and it really just opened up a lot of doors. And even people, calling, even if their insurance, stopped paying after a few visits, just the fact that we took it got them in the door. So
Absolutely.
I have found it to be very, I wouldn't say easy, but not difficult to do, and really gives, puts us on an even footing as other medical professionals. Whereas if you don't take insurance, and I also run a program where I don't take insurance. So, I kind of have a little bit of both sides in there. But, if you're not taking insurance, you're spending an awful lot of your time marketing. So, it's kind of, what would you rather be spending your time doing?
Yeah. And, as someone who was in private practice before and self-pay, in the state of Illinois, in the suburban Chicago area, I found that when I tried to get credentialed here in Illinois, it was extremely challenging. But I find that when every time I speak with someone, a dietitian who's on the East Coast practicing, it's just simple. It's almost like just putting in an application and checking the box and boom, I don't know what's going on with that, but it seems, and I could be wrong, but it seems like it really just depends on the state, the insurance plans, and all of those things. And I just want to make sure that I say that, because it is very specific to, the insurance plans and where you live. Because, myself, I really tried to get credentialed and paneled on all these things, on the plans, and it just didn't work. I was just like, what in the heck?
Well, and absolutely. And that, that's a big asterisk there, is it really depends on what state you're in. I know, there's a lot of states where dietitians can't get credentialed at all. Florida springs to mind. So we have, the two states that we're in currently, we have been able to get credentialed in. It took quite a while though, and just because you're credentialed in one state does not mean you're going to get credentialed in another if their panels are closed. So definitely, before you decide to take insurance, you need to, kind of check in with what's going on in your individual state. So yeah, in that sense, we've been very, very fortunate.
Yeah. And how are things for you now that we're in the season of COVID? Are you guys doing the telehealth and all of those things?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So we have actually done telehealth, and I offered it on and off for years and really didn't get a lot of takers for a long time. And then we really started offering it, and we're lucky here in Maryland and Georgia, is that the state laws cover telehealth just the same as an office visit. So that's also very
awesome.
Nice for us, is that we don't have to worry about, going by the whims of the different insurance companies as far as that goes. But I would say we started offering telehealth really in earnest a couple years ago. And it was, people would do it for follow-ups here and there, but they would say, oh, we really want to come into your office, and which was great. We love seeing people. And then in March, everything changed, and we were fortunate because we were already doing it. So literally in a matter of a couple hours, we just switched everybody over to telehealth appointments. But, April, I would wake up in the middle of the night clutching my chest. It was nerve-wracking.
Really? Why was that?
Because, everyone, our numbers were down a lot because,
Gotcha.
Nutrition counseling was not top of mind for people. It was kind of survival at that point, I think, with, the lockdown and all that. And I have to say, silver linings, something that has been a really positive thing to come out of this pandemic is people had to do telehealth, and they realized, this is awesome. I don't have to come to your office in the middle of rush hour for a half-hour appointment that's going to take me an hour of my life just to get there. And since summer, we've hired 2 people. We've just gotten busier and busier, which has been great. And I actually sent out a survey a few months ago to our clients asking them, and it was mix. I would say most people were actually seeing us in office before the pandemic. And the survey was, do you prefer telehealth? Do you prefer in-office visits, or a mixture of the two? And most people, even people who'd seen us in our office, preferred telehealth. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's radically going to change the way that we operate, when we're able, because we're still not seeing anybody in person because it's just not worth the risk.
No.
And it's going to change the way that we operate as a company because, now, to be perfectly honest, we've outgrown our office in Maryland. And rather than investing in a bigger space, I think we're all just going to work half-time telehealth, half-time in the office. So
nice.
That's been one positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that even the people who were kind of against the whole telehealth initially, they were probably reconsidering, like, oh, this actually could benefit. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. I think this is the season. Not only should we remember this as the pandemic, but it is the season of, in my opinion, the great slowdown.
It is, and new and different opportunities, it makes me happy for my clients that, they feel like they can, see us more often and get the help that they need because they don't have to, take time, leaving work and coming to us. Nutrition counseling is something that's really conducive to using Zoom. We do have a teaching kitchen in both of our offices. So that's, obviously we're not doing a lot of cooking lessons right now, but that'll be nice when that can resume. But that's really the only thing that we're not able to do.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And Diana, I have another question I would love to get the answer from. What really keeps you inspired to keep going as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I don't know. My husband tells me I'm just not, he's like, why don't you just calm down and be happy with, kind of what's going on? And I'm just always looking for something new, not that I'm dissatisfied with anything. I'm incredibly happy with the way things are going, but there's always new opportunities. There's always new things to do. And something that really surprised me as an entrepreneur is I found that what I really love doing is setting up systems and processes and I do our webpage. I do all of that. So that's what I really love. Like, I love working with clients too, but that's really where my passion lies. And I had no idea about that. So if I didn't have all these amazing people supporting our company, I wouldn't be able to do that as much. And I think that's something really important, when you're starting out, is to learn, what do I love doing? What am I good at doing? And what does it make sense, or what will it make me happier to hire people to do? So for me, it really made me happy and made sense to hire people to see all different kinds of clients rather than hiring an admin person to do all the behind the scenes stuff. And we do have a wonderful admin person. She's our office manager. She's amazing, but kind of the whole how things run.
Yeah. So since this podcast is all about money and making money as a dietitian, and you, I believe, are such a good representation of how important it is to have a team to help you with that. And not only having a team for the sake of supporting you and your dreams, but having a team to actually provide jobs for other dietitians, other women. But I want to talk about the money just a tad. I would love to just hear from you, like, can we safely say that you are or you have created a very successful practice that has gone over the six-figure mark?
No, we're not six figures. We're in the seven figures. So.
Oh, look at you, girl. Well, that is over the six-figure mark. Okay. So y'all, is everybody listening to me? Because I'm yelling in your ear right now. Do you hear Miss Diana Sugiuchi? She is in the seven-figure mark. Okay. Now, there is nobody out here in this world that can tell me that you cannot make more money as a dietitian. There is no way that you can tell me that people won't pay for your services. There is no way that you can tell me that people don't value what you have to offer. There is absolutely no way. All of those thoughts, I'm calling BS on them right now, and I want you to call BS on them for yourself. I feel like, oh my God, I'm getting chills. I feel like dietitians should always be 6 and 7 figure owners. You know why? Because we save lives. We save lives, you guys. What in the heck are you doing right now? Why are you sitting on your skills? You save lives. Some of you even work with peds and families. Some of you help moms through their pregnancies. Some of you help moms after their pregnancies and with breastfeeding and nourishing small infants. So I just want to know why you're just sitting around and not trying to get yourself out there to help save people's lives, nourish people's families, practice in preventative nutrition. Some of you are even like me. You're in the closet though. You're in the closet because you're more holistic. So you're in the wellness space. Why are you holding back? You're going to hold back until the end of time, and you will have wasted what has been given and gifted to you. And that is a disservice. We're all meant to be here to support one another, healing, helping, serving. And it just does not make any sense that we make excuses. We make excuses, though, because it's comfortable. It's comfortable to make excuses because it's even more uncomfortable to get out there and take risks. But I want to challenge you to answer this. What are you risking if you don't get out there? What are you risking if you don't get out there and be of service? Of course, I'm not going to hear your answer, but I want you to answer that for yourself. All dietitians should be 7-figure business owners. If you are a dietitian who desires to be in private practice, not everyone wants to do that. But if you are, you should be aspiring towards 7 figures. I don't even want to hear about how, oh, it's not about the money, because it is. It is about the money. Hello. Why shouldn't it be about the money? When it's about the money, that means that you get to help even more people. You get to be like Diana and employ more women. You get to provide dietitians with a wonderful work environment where she doesn't have to have a crappy male boss breathing down her neck. Have we all had that? There are some crappy female bosses too. So come on, you guys. Enough is enough. This is ridiculous. I'm like on my stick right now. Stop making excuses and get yourself out there and get scrappy. Get freaking scrappy. Learn what you need to learn. If you want to increase your bank account, invest in yourself. How about that? If you want to increase your bank account, you'll need to invest in yourself. You'll need to take some risks. By golly, you might even learn something new, right? Like Diana did not have any business background. I mean, she came from playing in rock bands, y'all, and she has a 7-figure private practice employing 10 dietitians. Now, that might feel out of reach to some of you, but it really is just a matter of time. Diana, how long did it take you to build from 0 to where you are now? How many years?
Yeah, so we had our 10th anniversary last year, so it's been 11 years. But, you know, a lot of the time in the beginning, I was not building it as fast as I could have. I actually had a side thing, developing recipes and writing for a food company. And so there wasn't really a fire lit under me to go out and build the private practice part. Until that contract went away because the food company got bought by another company. And I looked up in probably 2012 and I was like, oh crap, now I really have to go out and make this happen. And that's how a lot of our growth has come about. Something similar happened in March and April of this year, was kind of that oh crap moment. We've got to really step up our marketing game, reach out to past clients. When I lost back in 2012 that contract, that's when I really got serious and started going out to physicians, getting more referrals, and really making it my sole focus. So sometimes that that failure can actually, or frequently, all the time, that failure, quote unquote, is a blessing because it lights a fire under your butt to go out there and do something different.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, good golly. And okay, so 10 years or so. And I was talking about this not too long ago, where a lot of times we get jaded to believe that it's 90 days to this or 6 months to that, or like, you guys should see Diana's face right now. She's like, oh, hell no. But I always say, like, behind the scenes, someone has been curating things for at least 3, 5, maybe even 10 years before they get to the tipping point and everything is just like fantastic. So if you're in your 20s or 30s and you really commit to focusing on building a thriving private practice over the next 5 to 7 years or so, you'll be doing really good in your 30s, early 40s. If you're in your 40s, same. Like, why not? Why not? Now, there are some of you out there who have been even contemplating quitting this whole career, this whole profession. But I just want to challenge you on that. Unless this career as a dietitian, like nutrition, is no longer your jam, like you really just cannot stand it, nutrition itself. Unless that is the case, why would you quit? Why? Because you've made the effort. You have put in the effort, the education, the financial resources to get the education, the blood, sweat, and tears to go through an internship, which I'm sure was not easy for any of us. And then the painstaking, nerve-wracking process of studying for and taking that freaking exam. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you quit? Because you can't make the money you want to make? Or is it because you're relying on someone else to give it to you and they're not giving it to you, so you want to quit? And you have a thought that if you go somewhere else, they're going to give you. Anywhere you go, you're going to have to, even if you're an employer, somewhere else, you're still going to have to negotiate a salary. You're still going to put yourself in a position to have to fight for what you want. So why not fight on a common ground or create what you want for yourself? Oh my God, I can talk about this all day long. You just lit me up, 7-figure lady. I love it. This is amazing. So I would love to just give the mic back to you. And if you could tell your colleagues one thing that you would want them to take away from your experience, what would that be?
Wow, just one thing. I would say don't let your past define where you're going, or don't let who you think you are define where you're going, because life is full of surprises. Take the first step, even if it's not perfect, especially if it's not perfect. You can switch things up later. I've switched things up a million different times, and it's all okay. It's all about the journey, but you need to be in it for the long game too. Like you were saying, Christine, it's not like a 90 days to success. It's you really need to have, you need to be in it for a while and put things in place that are going to pay off down the road. But yeah, it's a great journey. I think being a dietitian gives us really unique flexibility to go in a million different directions. We don't have to be locked into any one way of practicing or one area of practice. And that's really exciting. And I think that that's only going to become more as far as options.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just want to say that I'm here as a leader in our industry to bring and raise up other leaders. Like one of my gifts that I don't have any problem with tooting my own horn, as I used to say back in my day, or as my sons will say, gassing myself up. I have no problem gassing myself up to say that I am here as a leader. I am a leader in this industry because I believe in us more than some of us believe in ourselves. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you get behind my leadership, you have no choice but to rise. You won't. There is no way that you can't rise up under my leadership, whether we're working together one-on-one or in my new membership called the Embody Academy. You're going to rise up because I'm here to raise up female leaders in the profession of dietetics. So if you are committed to your profession and your unique gifts and talents and putting them out there to really help people, then let's do this. We all should be 7-figure owners of practices. But you have to erase the mindset like you would if you were in school and you were at the chalkboard and you had the eraser. Erase your mindset and your thought process about it's not about the money, because it is. Broke people can't help people. Broke people can't donate to charitable organizations. Broke people can't help their family members when their family members need help. Broke people can't send their children to college without any student loan debt. Broke people should not be in the profession of dietetics. I'm just saying. All right. Thank you so much, Diana. You just lit my fire on this day. Oh my God. I'm on fire. Let me go get some water, some tea, something to like put some sizzle on my fire. Put some sizzle on this fire I have. I'm on fire for my mission. And I just have to say, I have committed the rest of my career as a dietitian to this work, and I feel like I have to say that every single episode. This is all I do, y'all. This is not no little side hustle thing. And, oh, Christine, she just does that little podcast thing. No, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to help all of us get to the next level. All right. Thank you so much, Diane, for being on. You're just a huge inspiration. And I'm so sure that your story has inspired so many dietitians that listen to this podcast. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It has been a joy. All right.
Hey, if you want to learn more about how you can make more money as a dietitian, I want to invite you to check out my program, Charge What You're Worth. Now, to learn more about this program and how it can help you to become a top earner as a dietitian in business, just head on over to moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me. Again, that's moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me, where you can learn more about the Charge What You're Worth program and how it can help you.